Why do I care about influence? I care about influence because businesses are built on people. People have all these weird bugs in the system. They act f***ing weird. Like, people act weird. They act crazy. They act at total odds from what they say they want.
To do the job, to live your life, and protect yourself from all of the things that may affect your life. There are people right now that have been told that they're worthless.
The next step is being a leader. You have to decide that you want to lead. You have to step forward. That means not being like everybody else in your school. I don't care if you're in 6th grade or you're in college right now. It's being a leader.
I've come to learn that there's a huge difference between failing and failure. Failing is like stubbing your toe. You know it happens. It's a verb, you know it's just something you do. But failure is a noun, it's an identity. It's a place of where you stay, and I failed a lot along the way, but I was never a failure because I kept trying, I kept doing it. I understood over time that my value wasn't representative of the things that worked or didn't work.
It's really bizarre. And one of the things, it's bizarre until you really get into the psychology of why it is. Once you understand why it is, then you can have some influence over it. So that really is the thing nobody talks about. And I'm always weirded out how nobody talks about emotion. Nobody wants to connect. Brene Brown talks about vulnerability. If you don't know Brene Brown, look her up. Dude, I will be the most vulnerable cat whenever, because it tells people I'm real. It gives you real insight into me as a human being. Now, why is that important? Because you know I wouldn't do it if it didn't move me towards my goals. So even vulnerability for me is a strategy. But the reason it works is because I'm opening myself up as a human being.
Connection regrets are, if only I'd reached out. And these are regrets about relationships, where you have a relationship, or you should have had a relationship, and it comes apart, usually through drifts, and you want to reach out, but you don't because you think it's going to be awkward and the other side's not going to care, so it drifts out even more. And then in some cases, it ends up being too late. And so these 4 regrets, to me, reveal what makes life worth living. What do we want out of life? We want a stable foundation. We want some stability. We want a chance to do something. We want a chance to learn and grow and lead a psychologically rich life.
You're connecting with people on a real level. It is just a truth. Human beings want to connect with authentic people. And the people they distrust the most are the ones that they can't understand their motives. When you don't understand someone's motives, I'll speak for myself. When I don't understand someone's motives, they freak me out. I can feel them trying to move me around the chessboard, and I don't know why. I don't mind when I feel someone moving me around the chessboard when I know why they're doing it, because then I can decide if I want to move or not. But if I don't know why, there's just that resistance to being moved, the unknown, the unease that causes. So once I fully accepted that I was dealing with humans, that they didn't want to feel me moving them around the chessboard, that they would respond. If I opened myself up to them, they would open themselves up to me, that they would open themselves up to each other, that we could really get some teamwork and some cohesion. If I hired for compassion, which is it just works in human societies. Humans are a social animal.
We want to do the right thing. I'm convinced that most of us want to do the right thing. And what else do we want? We want love. We want connection to other people. And that's what makes life worth living. In a weird way, regret also taught me about what makes a good life, because I had collected 16,000 regrets from people in 105 countries. And when they told me their regret, in a sense, they were also telling me about what made life worth living.
How do I turn that? Like, how do I take something that feels like it hurts and turn it into progress?
This is important. In some ways, it's central. Regret hurts. There's no question about that. But here's the thing. Regret also instructs, and you can't have one without the other. So if you avoid the pain, you don't get any of the learning. So what you have to do is be able to process that pain. And I think there's a way for us to do that, to take our regrets, use them as signals.
It was so frustrating because I was chasing an idea of value, not understanding that I was valued to begin with. A crumpled up 20 bill is still 20. Does it lose its value when it's beaten up? You have a right to what you're feeling. But just because you feel it doesn't mean it's real. I'm going to acknowledge that I don't like this, but I'm also going to acknowledge that I don't want to stay in this feeling, because if I already have to go through this diabetes, I already have to go through being different.
That they want to mount to anything. And they have allowed their emotions and their feelings to get disrupted. And ladies and gentlemen, you allow these things to happen because you're not protecting yourself. So you got to suit up. You got to put on that armor. You got to be a little bit more faithful. You have to understand that there is a purpose behind the purpose. And there is a greater power than you and I.
It's not being one of the guys. It's not being part of the pack. It's being different than other people. It's thinking different than other people. It's learning early in life that other people's approval, your friends, your buddies liking everything you do and believing in everything you do is not going to get you where you want in life. It's being a leader. It's being a visionary. It's being unique. It's stepping out. And when you're young, you're going to take criticism for it. You're going to take flack for being different, for not going with the flow, for not drinking with everybody or smoking weed with everybody. Stay away from those things when you're young. Stay away from them when you're old if you can. These are not the practices of people that win. Let everybody else smoke and do drugs and smoke weed and get in trouble and go down that path, and you lead. You step out, you be different, you be extraordinary, and you be proud of the fact that you're different.
I already have to go through feeling like a monster. I don't have to beat myself up in my own head. If you get a flat tire on the side of the road, you don't set your car on fire. You deal with the flat tire, but that's what I felt like I was doing, and a lot of people set the car on fire instead of addressing the main issue. They'd build upon it and make it worse. How can I become more than what's happened to me? How can I become more than the circumstance that I hate? But how can I not let the hate towards the circumstance?
No matter how you look at things, you can't do it alone, but you better put on that armor. Don't glorify yourself because you're only passing through. Suit up that armor and be about your business, because that's what we have to do. Don't take your life for granted. Don't feel that you cannot be touched, because you must know, keep that armor on, carry on, and live strong. And from the bottom of my heart, keep the faith, look up, and conduct your business. The question is, why do we fall?
The next thing is you got to work on your self-confidence, right? You got to become more confident. You know, when you're listening, it's something you don't have enough of. Self-confidence is the process, listen to me, of keeping the promises that you make to yourself. When you begin to make a promise, I'm going to get up at a certain time, or I'm going to clean my room, I'm going to get a certain grade, I'm going to study, I'm going to do something, deliver on the promise you make to yourself. Not what you promise your parents or you promise your friends, what you promise you. When you begin to stack what you promise yourself and you deliver on it, you begin to build a reputation with yourself that you can trust you, and that will serve you the rest of your life when you trust and you like you. That's self-confidence. Keep the promises you make to yourself. The next part is start to work on your self-worth, your identity, which is different than just your confidence. Self-worth means I deserve this. I'm worth this. And that comes from doing the hard work. That comes from being unique. It comes from noticing it when you're a leader, noticing it when you do things other people don't do, noticing it when you turn away from bullying somebody and you're the kind one, or you interrupt someone who's bullying and you stop it.
I can't control me. You know, sometimes we get addicted to this, like making everything beautiful, making everything like amazing, and sometimes we have to be real. Some situations do suck, they do, and we have to allow them to suck and not invalidate the fact that it does suck. My job is to not let my mind take over. And that's when I win and when I lose, and everything in between. You have a choice between what you think and what you do, and that choice is everything is everything.
And you want to know something? It fucking sucks that we have to go get our teeth cleaned at the dentist once a year, and that we can't just have good teeth without that. And it sucks that we have to monitor our diet to stay fit. And it sucks that we have to work hard to produce results. All that just fucking sucks. Why couldn't it be that, like, you know, you could just be kind of like born and you just kind of like have the money given to you and the girls given to you and like all this shit. You don't have to do any of this shit. Maybe someday in the future, this is not even inconceivable, we could have a future where, with genetic engineering, you're just jacked. You're just fucking jacked. But that's not you! And it didn't happen yet! So until that is you, You have the other fate, which is you're gonna have to hustle. That's your fate. That's just how it is, okay? That's how it is. You're gonna have to actually apply yourself and challenge yourself. That's how it is. Because we're not genetically engineered yet. We don't have a utopian society yet where shit's just given to you.
Run, hike, sprint, climb, build things. Start building things. Rewire things. Do some plumbing. These things are not, they're not impossible to do. Now, it's going to take you longer, right? Like I've rewired my parts of my house. I've replumbed parts of my house, so done all the plumbing in parts of my house. Now, if you watch a skilled electrician do what I'm doing, it would literally take him 1/8 of the time, maybe 1/4 of the time, because, or like the drywaller we were talking about earlier. A good drywaller, they are like masters. A good electrician, masters. A good plumber, they're smooth. Me, it's going to take a while.
Sure.
So, but what I'm saying is it's not impossible.
Yeah.
It's not impossible to do. And it'll take you more time, but you're learning how to do it.
I don't care how good you are. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how much you work on yourself. There are some times when things aren't going to go right. There are times when anything that can happen will happen.
I don't really like those words. Self-help or self-management or self-improvement. I don't really like what those words have come to mean these days. Because there's a lot of people out there that are constantly trying to improve themselves by looking for the one change. The one change, right? The one change in their life that's going to make their dreams come true. And even worse, on top of that, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of self-help gurus and these hyperactive motivational speakers and these other self-appointed modern Zen yoga warriors that they're trying to sell the one thing. They're trying to sell the 9 steps or the enlightened path that's going to allow you to unlock all of your human potential and fulfill the dreams so you can live the life that you've always wanted to live. Now, I'm no guru. And I definitely don't claim to be. I'm just a man. But I will tell you this. It isn't one thing. And it isn't 10 things. And it isn't 100 things. It isn't a quick path. And there are no shortcuts. Meditation won't get you there, and neither will a miracle drug or an organic supplement or some superfood. Getting better isn't a hack or a trick or a one change that you need to make. Getting better is a campaign. It's a campaign. It's a daily, a weekly, it's an hourly fight. An incessant fight that doesn't stop against weakness and against temptation and against laziness. It's a campaign of discipline. It's a campaign of hard work and dedication. It's waking up early and going to bed late and grinding out every second in between. Every single day. So, you want to get better? You want to self-improve? Stop looking for a shortcut and go find your alarm clock and find your discipline and find your guts and your passion and your drive and find your will.
Grit, fortitude, self-esteem, confidence, the ability to endure. You have to earn these things, okay? We live in a world right now, like we've talked about on the past shows recently, that celebrates victimhood. It's a competition now about who has the biggest challenges, not who's overcome the biggest challenges. And I'm going to tell you right now, the world is going to reward people who overcome the challenges. You might get some claps. You might get some, oh man, you know, that's so hard. You might get some of that shit, but it's not going to change your life. Okay. It's instant gratification shit. You are putting out information to then get instant gratification attention, which doesn't really serve you long term. So guys, understand that doing the opposite of what most people do is what's going to lead to most success in your life in general terms. So when you see everybody else working to make their life easier, more convenient, less frustrating, basically looking to cut all the hard things out of their life, look at the rest of their life. What is it? It's generally a shit show. Okay? So that should be an indication to you that maybe you need to look at life a little bit different. And one of the things that I see people do is they don't understand that you should actually be seeking out the proper obstacles that are going to teach you the lesson and embrace them so that you can be better. Because, dude, we could talk about and whine about and cry about everything in our lives, but there's only one thing that's going to change it, and that's actually taking action towards the place that you want to go. And I don't care who says different. This is a universal truth, and it doesn't matter who's president, doesn't matter who's fucking won the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter. This is always going to be true. What you put in will produce the output. Okay? So when you see a situation that's difficult and you see a situation that, other people don't want to do, you should maybe be the person who steps up to that and says, dude, I'm willing to do that because I'll learn this. I'm willing to take on that because I'm willing to get this skill. I'm going to endure this adversity because I know it's going to make me stronger. All right. So look at these as an opportunity for you to grow as opposed to something that you should run away from because it's going to be difficult. This is something that champions and successful people who are great at what they do and live great lives that bring other people up do automatically. Okay.
That talent apart, hard work actually works. And with virtually everything, it might not make you the best at whatever it is you're pursuing, but it will certainly make you better than you are. And so it's fascinating to see that destiny in some sense is built right into the person to begin with. And so, well, this was built into you by all appearances. And so it manifested it in itself in what attracted you even in play as a child. And that's the beginning of identity formulation, that play.
Can you really see through the darkness? You are wandering and you have no idea where to go. You are wandering and you have no one to turn to. Can you see? Can you see through the darkness? Can you feel your purpose? Nothing can stop your purpose. Nothing can stop what's meant for you. Nothing around you can stop what's already yours. Your destiny belongs to you. Do you feel it? Do you understand the purpose behind the darkness? It represents something. It serves a purpose. It's an unknown purpose that many of us never would understand. Can you see through the darkness? You travel down this path. You travel down this path of the unknown, and yet you are afraid. You are afraid because you don't understand it. You are afraid because you feel empty. You are afraid because no one is there to help you. I would like to introduce you to the light, to the dawn, to the beauty, to the understanding, and knowing that this is the joy. This is the joy that you must embrace. This is the moment of happiness. Without any despair, without any rejections.
We are the revolution if we cease to conform with traditional, programmed, this is how you do it reality. All the great changes of society and changes of anything, the great visionaries, all of them, have been ones that have walked out of the program and taking the shit for doing so. Because out of the program is the only way you're going to push on in terms of understanding what life is about, who we are, and where we're coming from. The greatest fear in the world is the opinions of others, and the moment you are unafraid of the crowd, you are no longer a sheep. You become a lion, and a great roar rises from your heart. The roar of freedom, of being you and not someone else's version of you. Come out of the masses, stand alone like a lion and live your truth according to your own light, not someone else's version of it. Expressing our uniqueness is a revolution that will change everything, because the program depends on that not happening. It is better to live one day as a lion than 100 years as a sheep. What's the point? Doing what is right, no matter what you are told, is the spirit of change. Because if you don't do that, you're just operating within the circle and nothing changes. You have to step out of the circle and do what you believe to be right rather than what you are told to do, to break out of the program, out of the circle, and thus move society forward. Oh, it's so simple, expressing our uniqueness. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. That's how you change the world. That's how you change the world. It's the only way. Jump! And you find you can fly. Doesn't mean there ain't challenges, but my God, you find your life changes and it becomes the adventure and not the chore.
Let's roll, man. This is starting to get painful. This is uncomfortable. So you sit down. You have to figure out ways, and everybody's different. That's how the book kind of talks about, like, we all have these things about, 5 steps to this and 4 steps to this. It's a lot more than that. That's all bullshit. It's a practice that you have to, it's a habit. So if you know that at 40%, I'm feeling pain. At 40%, I'm feeling pain. That's where the 40% rule kicks in. Now it starts. Okay, I'm feeling pain. My mind's saying all this to me. It's saying, get out of here, run, flee. The fight or flight kicks in. Okay, we're done. We're not good enough. It starts telling you all these things. You start to believe it because the mind controls all. This is the time where you have to gain control back of your mind. It's okay. Let me see if I can go 45%. And once you start giving yourself more and more hope and start realizing, okay, the mind starts to be, okay, what are you doing? We're supposed to be going right and you're going left. You start then controlling your mind. Start finding more in yourself. And then it goes from 40% to a lot further than that. But that's the start of it though. Get to the spot where your mind is saying stop. Wherever that is, you gotta get there first. And then that's when that starts to work for you. You gotta control yourself in that moment.
Your brain likes to gravitate towards what it's most familiar with. The brain loves familiar things, okay? So the more you think about something, the more you place yourself on that beach, in that house, with that amount of money, with that body, the more repetitive it is that you place yourself in those things, those places, and those situations. The more your brain becomes familiar with it, the more it gravitates towards it. You can't think about it once. It's the repetition over and over again. Your brain begins to think, oh, I belong here. We belong here. You actually eventually convince yourself literally that you belong in your dreams by the repetitive and specific thinking and visions of them over and over again. One thing to be conscious of is the RAS doesn't reveal to you necessarily what you need necessarily, because what you need has always been there. What it does is it opens you up to seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting the things that you need in order to attract them into your life. The last part of the steps that I want to share with you is that you've got to control the beginning and the end of your day with your thinking. And so one of the first things you need to do when you wake up, after you do your stretching, your prayer, your meditation, whatever it is to take a 5-minute window and control your thinking, whether you after your meditation, your prayer, whatever it is, but you take a 5-minute window and you visually see your goals and dreams. Picture them as videos in your mind. Picture them as you possessing them and see them written down on a sheet of paper. This will begin to control your mind for the day. And then at the very end of the day, what I do, one of the last things I do after my prayer, when I'm laying in bed at night, is I read through my goals and my dreams, I picture them, and I allow my RAS and my subconscious mind to go to work on them. When I get my sleep, it's going to work on revealing to me, it's playing back the video, believe it or not, of my day in my mind. And it is revealing to me the things that I may have missed in that day that could bring those things into my reality. And it helps me wake up ready to get them as well. So if you'll do that, where you wake up, you go to bed, and when you check your phone, you're going to alter those 9% of your thoughts. These are 3 key steps on changing the way you think. And we know if we can change the way we think, we change the 9% of our thoughts, we change what we obsess about, we begin to possess them. That thought opens up a new space that didn't exist before, just like that chair you're sitting in, and we'll begin to create those things in our lives. Use these 3 steps to change your thinking. And I know if we stack that up over a day, a week, a month, 3 or 4 years, and a decade, the direction of your life is completely different. You see yourself living like this.
You know what you should do? Every time you get a chance to experience first class, you should do it, because it plants a seed. It's like the next time you buy an airplane ticket, just ask for an upgrade. Pay a little extra money to fly first class. What it does is it conditions your mind. Once you get in first class and you see how wide the seats are, and you find out why they shut that curtain, see, because they shut that curtain because they can't let you see what's going on up there. They passing out hot nuts. Everybody get a washcloth. They got a menu. You get to decide what you want. All the drinks is free. Once you sit in first class one time, the next time you get on a plane, it's very difficult to walk past them seats. And then your mind starts thinking of ways to get back to first class. And guess what? That's what you start attracting to your life. And you start behaving and producing stuff to get you back into first class. And next thing you know, you attract the thing you need to produce the outcome that you want. Life is all about the law of attraction. That's how you do it.
You're single tasking. Now, here's some of the keys. Again, I teach these in my programs. Number 1 rule is do things faster.
That when you look in the mirror, that's the one person you can't lie to. So every morning I would shave my head thinking, God, I would reflect back on some of the lies I may have told somebody or some of the ways I acted I didn't feel comfortable doing. And I did it to impress other normal people.
But watch this. When I bought the house, she's so D, because you get the D's confused. She's so D that she knew I don't need to deal with that. You deal with that.
I know life will back you down. I know life can be tough. But you are on a journey. You know my dad would say, go get it, son. Go get it, be sweet this week. Go get it, be sweet, baby, go get it, go get it. Be sweet, baby, go get it, be sweet, baby. Every time I left the house, my mom would say, be sweet, baby, be sweet. My dad would say, go get it, son, go get it, son, go get it, be sweet, go get it. Be sweet, go get it, be sweet, go get it, be sweet. You got to be ready to fight in bounce back parts and counter punch, jab and jab back. Let me tell you something, life is a series of fights. The worst thing you can do is run away from your fights. In order for you to rise up, you better take your game to the next level. Your mindset needs to go to the next level.
In other words, pick up the pace. Move quicker. If you want to get more done, move quickly. Pick up the pace. Just move faster. Just move. Just imagine you're under a deadline. The other end of the building is on fire. You've got to get this done. It's absolutely amazing what happens when you put yourself on. Number 2 is work longer and harder. As Jim Rohn suggests, it's a wonderful promise. Start a little earlier, work a little harder, stay a little later. You come into the office a little bit earlier. 1 hour of uninterrupted work is the equivalent of 3 hours of work in a busy office environment. So you find opportunities. You come in an hour earlier when no one's there, and you immediately start work, and you can get
The key word there is normal, everyday people. I was trying to make other people like me. How pathetic is that? So this mirror would always tell me, my reflection would say, God, you are a pathetic man. How does that feel every day to be this way? So I would just start having myself accountable. How did I attack today? How did I attack yesterday? And if I didn't do something I was proud of, I would write down a sticky note and I would fix it. So then my senior year in high school, it was a totally different David Goggins.
Work at lunchtime, but everybody goes for lunch. Everything quiets down. Don't go for lunch because everybody else is. Use that time to get on top of things. Don't stay an hour later. Yeah. What you'll do is you'll beat the traffic coming in, beat the traffic going home. It won't affect your schedule at all, but you'll actually double your productivity. So that's one way. Work longer and harder. The other is work faster. The third way is do things you're better at. keep asking, what are the things that I am the very best at? Because those are almost invariably the things that pay you the highest hourly rate. So do more and more of the things that you're better at. Now, the fourth task is to get better at your key task. Improving at your key task is critical. It's sort of like skiing. If you're just an amateur skier, you have to go very slowly for fear of falling. The better you get at skiing, the faster you can ski. So since most skiers, kind of measure how many runs did I have today? Well, a good skier can get 10 or 15 runs down the whole mountain. A poor skier may only get 5 or 6.
What brings me joy and happiness is knowing how beautiful the mind is. And I'm one of the few people that didn't read about it, didn't experience it through some drug. If you don't know who you are, I can't tell you who you are. We are all great. No matter if you think you're dumb, no matter if you think you're fat, no matter if you are fat, no matter if you've been bullied, or no matter if you just got back from Iraq or Afghanistan and you have no legs or your arms or whatever, man, we all have greatness. You gotta find the courage. You gotta find the courage to put your Bose headphones on and silence the noise out of this world and to find it. And to find it because it's out there, but it's gonna take hard work, courage, self-discipline.
Your information needs to go to the next level. Your relationships need to go to the next level. To be a shock is about how you move, how you operate. How do you navigate? You have to be disciplined every single day and train yourself to follow through on all your fundamentals. And that's how you're going to be successful. You have to do it when you don't feel like you have to. Do it when you feel discouraged. You have to do it. When you don't feel healthy, you have to do it. When you're under the weather every single day, you have to train yourself to focus and commit to your business and follow through, fighting for your future, fighting for your dreams, fighting for success. When you come over depression, you raise your arms like a champ. When you overcome bankruptcy, raise your arms in victory.
Success is an obligation. Responsible. What did I tell you? I'm responsible for my wife's health. I'm responsible for the home. Listen to me, my wife ain't never do nothing with my kids in school. She was like, you take that. I was so dumb. I didn't even realize she was giving me stuff. I'm just being real. When you stuck on stupid, you don't even see it. She said it on the podcast. Sometimes when you're so close to a thing, you can't even see it. Sometimes when you're so close to a thing and people trying to tell you, you can't see it because you're too close to it. And I dare you to study. And we don't want to study because we don't want to discover what we need to change. Invest money. Read and study. Guys, I got my PhD, master's degree, 4-year degree.
And you know the old saying that some people think they think, and the great majority would rather die than think. But the discipline of clear thinking is the most important because the way you think, the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your decisions and choices. Your decisions and choices determine the actions you take. The actions you take determine your results. Your results determine the quality of your life. And it all starts with your thinking clearly. Thomas Edison once said that thinking is the hardest discipline of all. It requires real effort to think because, especially today, we are so surrounded with distractions. I'm always amazed when I go down the street or fly or drive as people seem totally immersed in listening to things. They've got devices in their ears and stuff on their cell phone. They're listening to music in their car and they're watching television. They simply cannot stop bombarding their mind with sensory input. And of course, when you're doing that, it is impossible for you to think well.
Don't you ever lose hope. Don't you ever give up your mindset. Sharks are powerful creatures. You've got to think different. You've got to be different if you want to be at the top of your food chain. So how will you show up on game day instead of feeling down about your situation? Try to figure out what you can do to create positive momentum for yourself. Even at your lowest point, even at your lowest moment, there is something that you can do to create a small win. Now your small win might not be the same. That's my small win. Your small win might simply be getting out of the bed.
Let me tell you what school did. Everybody like, you don't need to go to school. Some of us need to go to school. Why? Because I never knew how to read and study. Studying is a discipline. There are things that just don't come by osmosis. It's a discipline. And the videos blew up. TGIM blew up. Why? Because of the three of us, Carl had the most C, and Carl was a biology major. So he would literally take the videos in and dissect them like he was in the lab. Business is a science.
Marriage is a science. Parenting is a science. Health is a science. For real, you got to read and study, y'all. It's a science.
To think well requires that you practice a couple of techniques. Now, first of all, as Peter Drucker said, you need to take time to think. You need to create long, unbroken chunks of time. The rule is that fast decisions are usually wrong decisions. Especially fast decisions involving people or money are usually wrong decisions. So if you're going to make a decision that has long-term consequences, then you have to give it a lot of thought. You have to sort of look at it like a beautiful piece of porcelain. You look at it from every single side and think about it carefully. And the more carefully you think about a decision, the better the quality of that decision will be when you finally make it. How many times have you said, you know, if I just thought about that a little bit more, I wouldn't have done it? Or if I just thought a bit better, or I just taken time to think? Well, superior people, through experience and through painful experience, learn to take their time in making important decisions.
Your small win might be going to the gym. Your small win might be making one more phone call or getting up an hour earlier to put in some extra work. You have to believe that you control your destiny. Don't put that responsibility on anyone else but you. Something is happening. Something is taking place. The seeds that you've sown there are still working for you. The time and energy you sacrifice, they are not in vain when you plant food, which is really your goal. You have to nurture it. You have to protect it. You can't do one set of crunches and expect you have a six-pack. You've got to show up every day. You've got to show up day after day. You've got to show up when you're motivated. You've got to show up when you're feeling unmotivated.
People are teaching self-esteem these days, but they don't connect it to discipline. The least lack of discipline, and it starts to erode our psyche.
So the days you don't feel like getting up, just think about them. Somebody tell me in this room, when you think about your siblings, when you think about mom and dad and grandma, when you think about your uncle and aunts, when you think about those coaches, those people who've been there for you, just raise your hand if you said, E.T., sleep is better than that.
Make sure that as an inspiring actor, that it is your gift to act, not your passion. You gotta be careful about pursuing your passion, young people.
Keep it moving, be productive, be powerful, and from the bottom of my heart conduct. Your business. This is it. Your journey can be seen millions and millions of miles away in everything that you think. Therefore, you shall be greater than your fears. Be stronger than your doubts, because your mind is very powerful. Stop being sorry and start doing better. Better within you, better than anyone has ever seen, better than your mistakes, better than your failures, better than those that doubted you. Lift yourself up, stop with the excuses, stop doing things that you know that is not right doing.
One of the greatest temptations is to just ease up a little bit, right? The slightest lack of doing your best starts to erode the psyche. Instead of doing your best, doing just a little less than your best. Sure enough, you say, well, it's just going to affect my sales. No, it's going to affect your consciousness. It's going to affect your philosophy. Now you've begun in the slightest way to affect your own philosophy. Here's the problem with the least neglect. Neglect starts as an infection. And if you don't take care of it, it becomes a disease. One neglect leads to another. The worst of all, when neglect starts, it diminishes our self-worth, our self-confidence, our self-value.
Many of you are denied your dream and your goal because you have a consistency versus an intensity problem. Consistency is when you do something. Intensity is how you do something.
You say, well, how can I get back my self-respect? I'm telling you, you don't have to go to 29 classes. All you have to do is start the smallest discipline that now corresponds to your own philosophy, like I should, and I could, and I will. No longer will I let neglect stack up on me so that I will have the sorry scenario 6 years from now, giving some excuse instead of celebrating my progress. That's the key to discipline. Okay? Let's get kids involved in the least of discipline. One more, and then one more, and then another one, and then another one, and then some more. And the first thing you know, you're starting to weave the tapestry of a disciplined life into which you can pour more wisdom and more attitude and more strong feeling, more faith and more courage. Now you've got something, a vessel in which to put it. And now the equities start to flow. And the early return, I'm telling you, if you'll start this process, the early return will have you so excited, you'll commit yourself to this strategy for the rest of your life.
And that's why many of you, no matter what you do, no matter how much you do it, no matter who you're looking at, no matter what you read, you're going to be denied because you think that just being consistent at something is going to let you win. And just that earns you a right to win. That I'm being denied that corner office. I'm being denied that car. I'm being denied this quality of life. I'm being denied that opportunity, this scholarship. I keep getting cut off the team. You know, if I just stay, if I just keep practicing, I just stay around this team, sooner or later I'll make it. No, you won't. No, you won't. Because consistency does not guarantee you the win. Many of you, as bad as you don't want to accept this, you're never going to win because you're not intense enough. And until you get intense to the point that nothing will get in your way, that you will not get in your way, you'll never win.
All the things that will make you better depends on how you think, how you feel, what you do. How you perceive there are going to be times that you're going to want to give up, but you don't have the permission to do so. You must carry on the good fight. What great is in you if you don't believe of your greatness that you possessed inside? What good is your greatness if you don't stand on it? How can you hold on to who you really are? Inside the water may be a little rough. The tide could be coming in, but you got to keep on fighting. You got to keep on.
Just raise your hand and tell me, anybody in the room, sleep is better than them, Eve?
No one's going to do anything for you. Couple rules of being a real leader. You need to take responsibility for your own life. Bringing energy to your team. Leading in recruiting. Leading in leadership. Leading in growth. Nobody owes you anything, but you owe other people everything.
How bad do you want? You want it as bad as breathing? You want it as bad as anything you ever wanted in your life? And if you calibrate it at the highest enough level, what I found is the people that are the hungriest, they find a way. When you know why you want something, when it's desperation, is something that most people avoid. They think desperation is a weakness.
You should pursue your gift. The Bible says your gift will make room for you and put you in the presence of great men. It says nothing about your passion. A lot of people pursue their passion and they forget about their God-given gift. Your greatest chance for success lies in pursuing the gift. So make sure you're not pursuing a passion. I'm passionate about golf. I love golf. I can't play golf. I love being outside. I love the carts. I love the grass. I love the challenge. I'm not a good golfer. I'm passionate about it. Got the clubs, the clothes, golf simulator, putting green in my backyard. I got sand trap in my backyard. Still can't get out the damn sand.
Swimming this path that you are taking right now, this emptiness that you are feeling, right now it is only a temporary magic, temporary thing that is going on inside of you. Right now it's only temporary. But it is necessary that you struggle, it is necessary that you feel alone, it is necessary that you have to continue to go forward. This is not the time to quit, this is not the time to give up. Even when you think you're weak, you have a way to be strong. Yes, darkness is upon you, but there will come a time. The sun will shine dawn. His coming, the sun is going to rise, and you will see the light within you.
And I'm here to tell you, desperation is one of the most powerful emotions you could possibly possess, because when you're desperate, you find reserves and reservoirs of ideas, talents, when you find yourself in a desperate situation. So ironically, the one thing most people avoid in their life, hunger, which is caused by being desperate. When you're starving, you become desperate. Think of somebody who's starving on the street. How resourceful would you get if your children were literally starving and you had to feed them, right? So the number one thing we need more than anything to win is hunger, which comes from a state of desperation. Yet we're constantly trying to comfort ourselves in the real world to avoid the state of being desperate.
I knew someone was better than me. There's more talented people than me. Probably more talented than you. But like my dad said, the best ability is availability. You might outwork me for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, but you ain't gonna beat me over a year.
I can get out, but I can't put the ball where I want it. So you gotta make sure that you're gifted at it to pursue it. That's first. I can't tell you how many people are in Los Angeles, California, working at restaurants and Best Buys with their headshots. And every time you walk in there, Mr. Harvey, can you take my headshots? I said, what do you do? I'm an actress. What have you acted in? Nothing. I'm an aspiring actress. If you haven't acted in anything, then you're not an actress. You should go on some of these calls looking for tall, beautiful women. And you walk in the casting room and oh my God. Oh my God. the most stunning women you've ever seen can't remember a line. So be careful. It's doable, but you have to make sure that it's your gift.
Nothing can stop this because that light has already been there, that light is embedded in you, that light exists in you. The time has come for you to succeed, for you to stand tall, for you to understand that you've got a mission and your mission is not done yet. Every day it's not going to be a good day, but every day is a blessed day. Because you are above the ground, you are walking tall, there is no time for sorrow. Because misery has no place in your life. The mind is a powerful weapon because no matter what's happening, your mind does matter, and if you put the wrong things inside of your mind,